Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I want to talk about the order in which you should complete different activities in Diablo 4. So a lot of people have been asking about side quests. I've seen a lot of people being confused whether you should do side quests while doing the campaign. When should you focus on Renown? Should you do it in tier 1, in tier 2, in tier 3? And a lot of people have this confusion because you really can't know for sure until you complete the game, because you don't know exactly how much experience each of these things gives, so you don't know like what level you'll end up with. So from my experience completing all of those things, I'm gonna tell you how I played it and what worked out for me, and also what are the other options you have if you wanna maximize the efficiency that you're doing it, or maximize the efficiency of your time if you're going for like a completionist approach. So there are different approaches that you can take, so I'm gonna talk about all of them and tell you basically how you want to organize things and how you want to structure the things that you're doing in order depending on how you want to play. So first of all, let's focus at the beginning. So when you're making your first character, the number one thing you should focus on is the campaign. You should skip side quests unless you want to do a couple of side quests that are on the way. That's totally fine, but you're gonna be completely fine skipping the side quests at the beginning. The reason is the best time to do these side quests is actually later in World Tier 3, and there is a reason for that. But at the beginning, you basically want to focus on the main campaign, and that's what I did. I basically focused 90% on the main campaign. While you are doing the main campaign, the one thing that you want to do is, as soon as you unlock a region, like let's say you are good enough level to do content in that region, you want to look for dungeons that have aspects that are very important for your build. So for example, for my build, that would be the penetrating shot aspect, the trick shot aspect from the dungeon, and then I want to go as quickly as I can, get that so that my build is online, and then play with that for the rest of the campaign. It's gonna make your character feel better, it's gonna make things much easier, but the main focus, like 90% of the time, the first thing you should be doing is campaign straight up. In the second character and later characters, after you have completed the campaign, there is no need to do it. So instead of that, you'll be simply going for the Renown right away. But if you start with your first character, then campaign is the number one priority. After you finish the campaign, for me, I was doing it at World Tier 2, so I ended up around level 45. I've seen some people end up a little bit higher level, probably because they did more side content, or if you were doing it at World Tier 1, you might be a little bit lower level. But after the campaign, before going to World Tier 3, I recommend doing all of the dungeons that have codexes that your build can use. The reason for that is dungeons are the best way to gear up and XP. So you want to do them in order to prepare for the capstone dungeon, and by doing them you're gonna get a bunch of rare gear that's gonna be very useful to you. You're gonna find some good rare gear for every slot, and then after filling in those slots, you're gonna be able to also put legendary aspects on that, which is going to allow you to have a much more powerful character, which is going to tackle the capstone very easily. So that's what you want to do, and this is also gonna bring you closer to level 50, and then you do your capstone dungeon. After doing the capstone dungeon, you can progress to World Tier 3, and I recommend doing that because you're gonna get more experience, you're gonna get more gold, more loot and everything, so it's definitely worth it going to World Tier 3 quite early. And then in World Tier 3, you want to focus on the Renown grind if you want to get all of the Renown, which is kind of a personal choice because you might not necessarily want to do it, right? Maybe you just want to only do the 3 Renown tiers just to get the skill points, and you don't care about the Paragon points and the obols. So in that case, if you want to like rush to the high level as fast as possible, such as the people who are racing, they wouldn't do like all of the Renown grind for all of the Paragon points. They would basically skip the last 2 tiers, just get the 2 skill points because that is much quicker to do, and then they would just go spam dungeons. So if you only care about give me XP, give me loot now, I don't care about anything else, I will not do any other stuff, like I just want XP loot right now, right? I'm racing as high level as possible, you just do dungeons. From when you get to World Tier 3, just spam dungeons, spam nightmare dungeons, and just do it over and over, and that's how you get the most efficient, like, but in terms of like the pure quickest XP and golden items. However, if you are going to go for the Renown, and especially if you are going to eventually want to have 100% completion in all of the regions, then you want to take a very different approach. So once I got to World Tier 3, my approach was that I want to get to 100% Renown eventually, but I want to just get 2000 Renown in every single region to get all of the bonuses for all of the Paragon points, and then progress to World Tier 4. And the way that XP works out roughly is that when you're gonna be done with getting 2000 Renown in every single one of the regions, which gives you all of the bonuses, you're gonna be about level 70 or very close to level 70, which is gonna be perfect for doing the Capstone Dungeon to progress to World Tier 4. And that's the approach I took. So while doing that, I basically selected one region at a time. So let's say we start with Fractured Peaks or with Skosglen, whatever region you want. And then the first thing I do is I pick up all of the quests from the town, right? So I pick up just all of the quests on the way, and I only have quests from that region in my quest log to not make it confusing. So I'm doing one region at a time. When I pick up all of the quests that are on the way, I'm not gonna like specifically go town to town and pick up all of them, but just go to the main town, pick up all of the ones there. And then I'm gonna follow basically the map with Altars of Lilith. Altars of Lilith give you tons of renown, and also they give you a very like specific bonuses that are only acquirable through the Altars of Lilith, and they transfer to all of the other characters that you're gonna do. So you definitely want to make sure that you get all of the Altars of Lilith on your first character, and that also will allow you to explore the map and explore the world, which is absolutely incredible. So if you're not racing, right? If you're not racing, you shouldn't be spamming dungeons. I think spamming dungeons is gonna get you burnt out, and it's gonna make it feel like the game is boring because you're just doing one thing over and over, and that's what a lot of people have been doing. And then they're going on Reddit and complaining that there is no content in the game. Meanwhile, they skipped all of the content in the game to get the loot and XP, which, if you're playing the game the way I'm describing right now, you're gonna get those things anyway, right? So there's no point rushing to that where there's so much other content to do. So the way I would recommend doing it is you first grab the quests, then you follow the Altars of Lilith, and then as you are following the Altars of Lilith, if there is a quest nearby, just do it. If there's a dungeon nearby that has the aspect that you like, or you just want to do the dungeon, just do it. Dungeons give a lot of good renown as well, but usually you want to do Altars first, quest second, dungeons last. The reason why you want to do dungeons last is because if you're gonna go for like 100% renown and all of the objectives completed, you're gonna run nightmare dungeons in World Tier 3 and in World Tier 4 anyway, right? So the dungeons you're gonna finish at the end anyway because you're gonna run them. But I would recommend doing them if they, for example, overlap with the Tree of Whispers bounties. So one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is the Tree of Whispers. That's another thing that a lot of people are wondering, is it worth doing, when should you be doing it, and so on. So Tree of Whispers, in my opinion, is a waste of time early on unless it is efficient for you to do it. So what I mean by that, Tree of Whispers basically just gives you gear, right? It just gives you extra gear, extra resources, which you don't need early on because your build should be strong enough as is, and you're gonna be acquiring gear from just progressing your renown anyway, so it is completely unnecessary. However, if you have a dungeon that is marked and it gives you like 5 grim favors for the Tree of Whispers, or if you're doing a quest in an area where if you're killing the monsters there, you're automatically also getting favors for the Tree of Whispers, then do that and prioritize that. There's lots of times where there is like a dungeon marked by the Tree of Whispers, and you can just do it, get the renown and get the Tree of Whispers bonus at the same time. That's when you want to do that. Another thing other than Tree of Whispers is Helltides. When Helltides happen, this is another opportunity to go into that region and just do some quests on the way, maybe do also Tree of Whispers stuff that is like in the same place. You can literally have three things at the same time. You can have a Helltide going on, you can have Tree of Whispers bounties, and you can have quests and exploration that you can do in the exact same region, right? So that's what I would do. Also, if you're doing the renown, one of the first things that you want to do is also the strongholds. So strongholds provide you with 100 renown, so they are absolutely worth doing. They're one of the first things that you want to be doing as you're going to be following the path of the Altars of Lilith. You are going to encounter strongholds because virtually every stronghold has an Altar of Lilith in it, so it's naturally going to lead you that way. And when you do the stronghold, sometimes it's going to also unlock a waypoint, which is even more renown, and then it's going to unlock some extra quests quests and dungeons, which you can do for extra renown. So basically, after following the path of the altars, you're gonna be done with a bunch of quests. Maybe you'll do like half of the quests of the region, maybe you'll do a few dungeons, maybe like 1/3 of the dungeons in the region, and you're gonna discover basically most of the map. Almost like all of it. You're going to discover like 80 to 90% of the map and all of the waypoints. And that's going to get you almost to the finish renown. And then basically you either do some extra quests or the dungeons. The benefit of doing quests first is that if you're ever going to be doing the side quests, doing them earlier will lead you through certain like chains and certain quest lines which end up in a dungeon anyway, and then you're more efficient because you don't have to do the dungeon twice, and you simply pick up that quest first, and then once it leads you to the dungeon, then you do that dungeon and you get the renown for the quest and for the dungeon at the same time. So that's how you can efficiently progress that. And once you finish with all of the renown and you have all of the regions at 2000, you're gonna be most likely high enough level to go to world tier 4, and then you go to world tier 4. One thing that I would be on a lookout is world bosses, because world bosses in my opinion are one of the more fun aspects of the game. So I would look out for the world bosses. They have bounties, they have like weekly cash bonuses, so you definitely wanna get that. And then one tip I can give you as well with the Tree of Whispers: if you have a world boss spawn and you have a completed Tree of Whispers favor, right, you have 10 out of 10 favors, if you go to Tree of Whispers after the world boss timer is on the map, so it shows like 15 minutes until the boss, if you go to Tree of Whispers then, and then you basically reset your bounty because you get the rewards from your previous one, it is very, very high likelihood, I don't know if it's 100% chance, but it might be 100%, but it's very, very likely that one of the bounties is actually going to be the world boss. So that's how you can almost guarantee that. I did that a couple of times and it worked for me. So that's another trick that you can do. And yeah, and be on the lookout for hell tides. I'm gonna make a video about hell tides next, where I'm gonna give you tips about hell tides, how to do them, when to do them, what's the most optimal way to do them, and different areas where it's actually significantly better to do than in other places. So I'm gonna talk about that. But yeah, that's basically the progression for the end of the game. And always like prioritize having fun and play however you like, right? If you like racing and you want to get to as high level as possible, as much XP as possible, just spam dungeons and skip everything else. If you enjoy the open world, which I really enjoy, like I enjoy mixing it up, right? So I enjoy doing a little bit of this and that. So the way that I described is, number one, efficient in terms of the total time you're gonna spend if you are going to go for 100% completion. So in that sense, that's going to be the most efficient way, but it's also more fun for me because you get to travel, you get to do some dungeons, but you get to break it up with some quests which have really interesting stories. You get to break it up with some exploration and strongholds and so on. So that is a really fun way, at least for me, to do it. But yeah, basically that's it. Hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.